Welcome back to Ice Bat Sports. I'm Griff.
I'm Matt.
And today we are doing our second mock draft of this, I guess, off-season. Not really off-season yet. We still have the Super Bowl coming up, which I'm very excited for.
I hope it ends in a tie. I know it can't, but I hope it does.
That would be hilarious. So we're going to jump into this. Sorry if we sound a little different today. We are recording here on Zoom. So, a little virtual mock draft. We got the Bears up on the clock. I think it's still got to be Caleb Williams, right?
Yeah. I mean, you look at their quarterback situation, and I touched on this in the Fixing the Franchise video I did last week. And, I mean, Justin Fields, you're going to have to pay him in a year or two.
Yeah.
That's going to take a lot of money. Why not reset that quarterback clock by taking Caleb Williams? And Williams probably has a lot more upside than Justin Fields at the moment.
100%.
And he's also younger. It just makes too much sense to not take Caleb Williams.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. So we'll go Caleb Williams, number one. Brings up Washington at number two. I think it's got to be quarterback here.
I agree. I think you got to go Drake Maye out of North Carolina.
I mean, Howell just had so many ups and downs, and I mean, you got a new coaching regime coming in. I think you got to go quarterback. They get their pick of quarterback here between Drake Maye and Jayden Daniels. I think Maye's just a perfect fit for them.
I agree. So I do think after the combine, because people read a little much into the combine, you're going to see Maye and Daniels flip-flop a couple times. I mean, Daniels just had such a spectacular season at LSU, and Drake Maye didn't have the greatest season. I mean, I do believe that Drake Maye is going to be the better passer, but Jayden Daniels' athleticism is going to probably catapult him into this conversation. As of right now, I'm still taking Drake Maye at 2 for Washington, though.
I agree, me too. Brings up New England. We just posted this. I mean, I don't know when we're posting this mock draft, but by the time you guys see this, the Fixing the New England Patriots franchise video that Matt did is now up on the channel if you guys want to go check it out. I think we're going to stick with what Matt did there. We're going to take Jayden Daniels at number 3. If you want all the reasoning behind this pick, go check out that video. Shameless plug. But I think we got to go Jayden Daniels for the Patriots here. I mean, obviously Zappy and Mac Jones have not been the answer. I think going forward, you got a new head coach. I think a new quarterback, just reset this offense, and I think Jayden Daniels is a perfect piece for this New England offense.
Yeah, you get a brand new identity in New England behind Jayden Daniels. You've been traditionally having a pocket passer kind of back there at quarterback, aside from the Cam Newton era, but most Patriots fans don't want to reminisce on that.
Yeah.
But Jayden Daniels is an absolute playmaker. He's going to be a superstar in the NFL, no doubt. He does have some accuracy concerns, but there's one thing he doesn't do, and that's turn over the football.
100%.
And I think New England's going to fall in love with that.
Yeah. Brings up
now,
Arizona.
Coming up on the Cardinals at 4, I mean, Marvin Harrison is a lot of people's number one consensus player in this draft. Arizona's set at quarterback. Their biggest need, according to this, is receiver. It makes too much sense to go, not to go Marvin Harrison.
I totally agree with that. Brings up the Chargers at number 5 here, and you could go a bunch of different ways. I know in our first mock draft, I had them taking Kool-Aid McKinstry. I reached like a ton, and a lot of people were not a fan of that. I'm going to go a different way, switch up this mock draft a bit. At the end of the day, it's a mock draft. The comments are going to hate, but we are just pretending to draft. I am going to go with Brock Bowers here at number 5. I
like that pick a lot.
I think obviously right here it does list the Chargers' number 1 need is tight end. I do agree with that. Gerald Everett gone. I mean, it just makes too much sense. You add to that talented offense already. Mike Williams, is he a free agent? Not really sure.
No, he's locked up for, I believe, another year or 2. He was a free agent last year.
Oh, yeah.
But Brock Bowers would be a great pick here. He adds another weapon to that offense. Keenan Allen's getting up there in age. Mike Williams, injury prone, getting up there in age. Quentin Johnson, you took him in the first last year. He hasn't really panned out. And you bring in Harbaugh as your new head coach, and look at what he did in Michigan.
Yeah.
A lot of his offensive schemes revolved around having a good tight end. I think Bowers would be a great fit here. And like I said, he adds another weapon to Justin Herbert's arsenal.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Brings up the Giants at number 6. I don't know which way you're leaning. I think they need a receiver, and Malik Nabers is there. I think this is a match made in heaven if Nabers falls to 6 to them.
Yeah, so I originally I believe took an offensive lineman last time we drafted. Um but the more I've thought about it, the Giants have not had the best of luck drafting linemen nor developing them. I think it's more so a
Right.
developmental issue. But the one thing they do need is a wide receiver. I mean, you could argue quarterback, but there's none really worth taking at this pick, in my opinion. Daniel Jones, too much dead cap to cut him. You're probably rocking with him for another year, so why not give him a weapon in Malik Nabers that's should help him excel. And you know what? If he's not the guy, you already have a great offensive weapon for whoever steps up in 2025.
Totally agree. Brings up Tennessee at number 7. This has got to be an offensive tackle here. We saw how much that line struggled this year protecting whoever was back there, whether it was Tannehill, Will Levis. I know you're very high on Levis. I think he's starting to grow on me a little bit. I think they really might have their future franchise quarterback in him, and I guess you kind of got to wait and see and watch that play out. But he's not going to develop if you can't protect him. And that's why with this pick here, I mean, it's either Alt or Fashanu. Personally, I lean Alt. I'm not sure where you lean here.
So between these two, I keep flipping back and forth. I mean, Alt is really good. Fashanu, I mean, Fashanu's coming off of a bad season. I think both have tremendous upside. I don't think you can go wrong with picking either. What I like about Fashanu, though, is he's so versatile that ideally he would play tackle, and he fits out as a left tackle day one. But, God forbid you need him to move inside to guard or play right tackle. He's so athletic and so versatile that he has the ability to do so. I like that versatility a little more with Fashanu over Joe Alt. So, I mean, I personally have been leaning Fashanu.
We're going Fashanu then. Next up, we got Atlanta at number 8. I think this is a team that we've talked about it all year, pretty much on the pod. How it's just a young team that has a lot of talent that just has not been able to be utilized yet. And Arthur Smith's gone. You got. I don't really know what you do here. You need a quarterback. I don't think Ritter's the guy, clearly, but I also don't know if Michael Penix is worth taking at number 8 here.
So I personally, I don't think Penix is gonna end up being a first round pick.
I agree.
Will Levis fell last year for a lot less than Penix. Yeah, I mean Levis didn't have the injury history. It was a little more like turnover and accuracy concerns with him. But anytime you have any player that has a serious injury history, they usually fall in the draft. It's year in year out. A player that should be a first round pick, surefire, falls a round or two, maybe sometimes 5 rounds. So I truly think that's going to affect Penix's stock pretty heavily. Now, Atlanta is a team, I could see them going in a multitude of directions. In the first round, the past 3 seasons, they've gone offensive player every time. Their offense, I mean, you have so many weapons on that offense right now. I think it'd be a little redundant to grab another offensive weapon unless it was a quarterback. And like you said, is there really a quarterback worth taking here? I think we have to look at the defensive side of the ball. And until proven otherwise, I think Dallas Turner is going to be the surefire number 1 edge in a lot of teams' rankings. I think Laiatu Latu is probably the most pro-ready, but he has that injury history. I think Jared Verse has a lot of upside. I think Dallas Turner is going to be pro-ready with upside. I just think that he's going to end up being number 1 on a lot of boards, so I'm going Turner.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. Brings us back to Chicago. They already got Caleb Williams. Great. You could go and get him another weapon here. They have DJ Moore and a whole lot of pretty much nothing. I mean, Cole Kmet had a very solid season. But I also would not hate getting another edge rusher here. I think pairing another edge rusher with Montez Sweat just elevates that defense to where they should get to become a top 10 defense in the league, which defense wins championships. I think Laiatu Latu would be a perfect second edge rusher for that team.
Yeah, I think he'd be a great compliment to Montez Sweat as well. Um, and you know what? He's you could start him out as a rotational guy at first, get him
Yep.
acclimated to the NFL. Um, and even if he's not getting full games reps, he's still going to make an impact. This brings us to your Jets. I'm going to let you make this pick.
Yeah, I think with the Jets here, if the board falls this way, I mean, ideally, like you'd kind of hope that a guy like Nabers or Brock Bowers would fall down just to add another weapon to that offense. But I mean, you really need to address offensive tackle this year. I mean, with Becton's injury history and the fact that Dwayne Brown was our starting left tackle week 1, you just can't do that again. I mean, with Joe Alt sitting here at number 10, it's kind of a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, I love that pick. I think Joe Alt is definitely a top 10 talent. I think if this draft class didn't have such good quarterback talent, he could potentially be a top 5 selection as well. It's just the way the draft selections and the teams in order fall. He's fallen to 10. But Joe Douglas, even back to his Philly days, notorious for building through the trenches.
Yeah.
And I think protecting Aaron Rodgers is going to be a top priority going into this season. You invested in him. Why not protect him? You don't want to repeat of what happened last season.
Exactly.
So that's a great pick there.
Brings us to Minnesota at number 11. You got to go defensive side of the ball, in my opinion. You took Jordan Addison last year. You pair Addison with Justin Jefferson.
Yep.
You probably bring back Kirk Cousins this season. I'd go either a corner or an edge rusher here. I think that's their top 2 biggest needs. I love Jared Verse a lot, and I also like a lot of these corners. I like Nate Wiggins. I like Kool-Aid. Cooper DeJean's pretty solid. Terrion Arnold's going to be really good. Like down the board, I mean, you've got a lot of talent on the defensive side of the ball here.
So if it's up to me, I'm thinking that they're probably losing Danielle Hunter in free agency.
Yep.
And they're going to be in panic mode to try to replace him. I mean, your next best edge rusher on that team is Marcus Davenport, who I believe is a free agent anyway as well. I think edge is going to be a huge need for this Vikings team, and especially with Brian Flores' defense that likes to blitz a lot. I think they're going to want to replace that edge immediately. I think Jared Verse it might be a slight reach for him at this pick, but I think it addresses a need that they're going to desperately want to fill.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Brings us to the Broncos here at number 12. I think same situation for them. I think you got to either go corner or edge. You got to address this defensive side of the ball. I mean, you have Pat Surtain, and I don't hate pairing it up with another Bama boy, Kool-Aid.
Yeah, so I could see Denver going a couple different options. At this point, I don't think there's an edge worth taking this high on the board.
I agree.
I do think that corner is in need across from Pat Surtain. But at the same time, there's a lot of rumors that Russell Wilson has spent his last days in Denver. He might be getting moved on from. I'm going to shy away from taking a quarterback here. I do think that this could be a potential Bo Nix or JJ McCarthy pick if they do move on from Russ. But as of right now, he's still on the roster, so we got to function as if he's still on the roster. I think receiver Jerry Jeudy.
Jerry Jeudy rumors of him
leaving.
Moving on have been going on for the last couple of years. I think this is the year they finally move on from Jerry Jeudy. I would not hate getting Rome Odunze here and pairing him up with Cortland Sutton.
I do love the Rome Odunze pick. For me, it's a toss-up between Odunze and a cornerback. I think that this draft is so deep at receiver, though. I do think they go cornerback.
Yeah, I can see it. I'm going to go Kool-Aid.
Yeah, I think Kool-Aid,
Kool-Aid's
he's so technically sound.
Yeah, I think he's still corner 1.
Yeah. I mean, Nate Wiggins is probably close too.
Yeah.
Now we have Vegas. What are you thinking for Vegas?
I'm thinking offensive tackle here.
Yeah, I mean, you have Colton Miller, who's finally panned out to be a very, very good offensive tackle. But you need somebody on the other side.
JC Latham.
I like it. I'm a big Latham fan.
Hard to pass up on him. I mean, tackle class is very solid all the way down. Fuaga, Amarius Mims, Jordan Morgan's good.
Yeah.
Fautanu's good, and Suamati is good, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of guys that are solid. But I think JC Latham, out of all the guys that are available right now, it really stands out to me. I think he's pro ready. You could put him on the right side, and you really just beef up the trenches there.
I like it. It brings us to New Orleans. Now, New Orleans, there's a lot of different ways you can go with this. This is a team that their defense is very, very old. They definitely need to inject some youth into that defense. But you look on the offensive side of the ball, and I think I don't think people are going to like this pick. I don't think people are going to agree with this pick. But you have Rome Odunze still on the board. Michael Thomas has proven that he can't stay healthy. And when he has been healthy the past couple of years, he's been a non-factor. Chris Olave is great,
Rashid
but
Shaheed's a free
he's been
agent.
getting double covered, right?
Yeah, 100%. And Rashid Shaheed's a free agent.
And
that's your wide
Rashid
receiver
Shaheed's a free
too.
agent. You don't really have anybody at tight end aside from Taysom Hill. You're stuck with Derek Carr for another year because of the cap situation. I think you probably give him another weapon. Their offensive line is good enough. They could probably use another tackle. I could see them going tackle here, but I just think Rome Odunze is such good value here. It's too much to pass up.
I agree. Brings us up to the Colts at 15. I think they got to get a corner. Juju Brents has been okay.
He definitely has a promising future.
And then, outside of that, it's aging guys and guys that really haven't panned out. It's really tough here. There's 3 really good corners that if you get any of them, they're probably day one starters for you. I lean Nate Wiggins still as my cornerback too, though.
Yeah, height, weight, speed all the way. Very good in coverage. He's probably the safest pick here.
I agree. Seattle at number 16. What are you thinking for Seattle here? I'm leaning offensive tackle most likely.
Yeah. So this is definitely a team that needs to add to that offensive line. You have Charles Cross, who you got was it last year or the year before.
Yeah.
He's shown promise. But I believe you're losing a couple guys in the interior line. You need somebody on the other side of Cross. You have Cross as your left tackle, right?
Correct.
So when I get your right tackle, I think Fuaga would be a great pick here.
Mm-hmm.
You have a team that's invested 2 second-round picks back-to-back years in the running back position. You have Kenneth Walker. You have Zach Charbonnet as a 1-2 punch. I think they're slowly going to turn into a
run-heavy team.
Run-heavy team. Yeah, run-first team. I think Fuaga is just such a mauler in the run game.
Mm-hmm.
Add Fuaga to this offensive line. You pair him, Charles Cross, and those 2 backs in the backfield. I think it's a recipe for disaster for other teams.
I agree. Brings us up to Jacksonville at number 17. They're probably losing Josh Allen. So I think edge rusher is probably a really big need.
But they did take Trayvon Walker 2 years ago. And he started to develop.
Definitely corner in play.
Yeah, I think corner, honestly, I think corner's a big need, and I think defensive line is also a substantial need. You still got Johnny Newton out there. I think if it were up to me, I think it's between Newton and Terrion Arnold.
I agree. I think Terrion Arnold is also my cornerback 3.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I love Cooper DeJean.
I do too.
I think he's an amazing athlete. He's going to turn into a playmaker in that secondary.
Great lunch pail guy.
he's really crafty. But the thing with Cooper DeJean though is I don't think he's as pro ready as Terrion Arnold is. Personally.
I agree. I think Terrion Arnold's going to be a very impactful player day one, and I'm going to go with Terrion Arnold here.
I like it. Now we have Cincy here, and normally I'd be going offensive tackle for Cincy. But the fact that Johnny Newton's still on the board,
yeah,
he's going to be such an impactful player. This Cincy defense, if you can add, more playmakers to this defense, why not? I think DJ Reader is a free agent as well, so you get a replacement for him.
Yep,
and Johnny Newton can also rush the passer pretty well. I think this is a pretty good pick.
I agree. Rams at 19. They have a first round pick. Crazy.
Yeah, first time in 7 years. No,
I think this is a spot for corner here. Their secondary is pretty weak. I think Cooper DeJean is actually a good fit on this team here.
yeah,
Some
Cooper
youth to
DeJean
this
reminds me a lot
defense.
of Cooper Kupp, very crafty guy.
Yeah, 100%. This is a Rams pick all day long. I'm not even gonna explain it. Brings us
Yeah.
up to Pittsburgh at number 20. Could use
No, Pitt. This is another team that I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can go here. Now, I mean, Kenny Pickett, question mark, but I think, with the injury riddled second season, they're still going to rock with him. That offensive line's improved. It's still not great. But I looked at the defense, and your pass rush is good. You got TJ Watt, you got Alex Highsmith. They complement each other really well. But their secondary this past season was a liability at times.
100%.
And one guy that it's going to be a little bit of a reach here, but this guy has absolutely been killing it at the Reese's Senior Bowl, right?
Yeah.
It's Quinyon Mitchell. A lot of people had concerns because he went to Toledo,
I've seen a lot of his name all over Twitter.
but he's been killing it at the Senior Bowl, and this is a guy that's going to rise up draft boards really quickly. I think once he tests well at the combine as well, I think he might jump up into the cornerback 3 range. But I think a top 20 pick as of right now is very fitting for Mitchell. I think he'd be a great fit in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Brings us to Miami at 21. I think you got to address offensive tackle.
Yeah.
They struggled a lot this year protecting Tua. And that seems to be the story every single year. I know they've had a lot of injuries on the offensive line, which played a huge role in that. But getting another tackle alongside Armstead, it's a no-brainer for me with Amarius Mims and Troy Fautanu here. I know you're a big Patrick Paul guy, and I love Suamatia. I think you got to go Amarius Mims here, though.
Yeah, I like Mims, and the thing with Mims is he is a little bit of a project, but you have Terrion Armstead for him to learn behind,
Mm-hmm.
and Armstead's getting up there in age. You start Mims. I mean, he's a big guy. You can get away with starting him at right tackle. I mean, you have Austin Jackson too, so those two will battle it out. And maybe he starts as a swing tackle, but I think he could be your left tackle of the future.
I agree.
Now
Philadelphia
we have
Eagles.
my Philadelphia Eagles up here, and this is an interesting board. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are going to say that cornerback's a big need for us, but we have a lot of young talent in the secondary. It's a matter of developing them.
Keely Ringo,
I think
Eli
it's too early to
Ricks.
go safety. I don't think there's any linebackers we're taking here. I think you go to the corners real quick.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any corners that really stand out. I mean, Laster is pretty solid, but
Like Josh Newton a lot, too.
yeah, I mean, I think you can get away with taking a corner in the second round. You have 2
Mhm.
second round picks. I do think we are going to try to get a Lane Johnson replacement a lot earlier than people think.
100%.
And I have read a lot of reports that we've been linked to Tyler Guyton. He is a massive individual, but he's also a bit of a project. He's a very much a project. He's very raw, but he's been in contact with Eagles right tackle Lane Johnson, who is also an Oklahoma alum. And I think this is going to be one of these picks that a lot of fans don't like if they go him. But I think in 2-3 years down the road, when he is a Pro Bowl right tackle taking over for Lane Johnson, I think players are going to love him.
I like
Or
it.
fans are going to love him.
It's a team that could afford to take a project piece for the future. So
Yeah, and you get him behind Jeff Stoutland, probably the best offensive coordinator in the world. Offensive line coach in the world. What better guy to develop an offensive lineman?
Brings us to the Texans at 23. They list wide receiver as the number one need. I disagree with that. You saw Nico Collins break out this year. Tank Dell's looking like a stud. Obviously, an unfortunate injury with him run blocking, which was so stupid. John Mechie, towards the end of the season in going into the playoffs, was heating up too. I
Yep.
don't think wide receiver is their biggest need, although there are some nice names out there for them. But I would
Yep.
lean more defensive side of the ball. I think either get a corner or somebody like Byron Murphy. I don't know. This is the way this board is fallen. It's our Zoom meeting's gonna end.
It is a bit of a strange board. The thing with the receivers too is that the receiver class is so deep this year that I
Yeah,
think, supply and demand. I think you're gonna have a lot of receivers fall because of that.
I agree. Yeah,
Um, I
maybe a
do
guy
like
like
Chop
Chop
Robinson a
Robinson.
lot though.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I agree. I think Chop Robinson's in play here, and that's gonna be the pick here.
I mean, you got D'Amico Ryan's a defensive minded head coach,
Yep,
and you got Will Anderson last year, and what a better player to complement him than Chop Robinson, an absolute athlete. Chop Robinson, another guy that I actually don't think he'll be here at pick 23 after the combine. I think he's going to test really well.
I could see that too. Brings us up to Dallas at 24. I think you got to go offensive line, whether it's interior or on the tackle position. I like Graham Barton a lot.
I like Barton, but I think Barton projects more as an interior lineman.
Yeah,
I think they're going to lean offensive tackle with Tyron Smith, free agent. Tyler Smith, your first round pick a couple years back, has was supposed to be an offensive tackle, has moved to guard, has excelled at offensive guard. I'm between Jordan Morgan and Troy Fautanu. Um, I love Jordan Morgan, I really do, but I think Dallas is going to rock with Fautanu.
I like it. Green Bay at 25. This is another team that you could probably see tackle incoming. David
Yep.
Bakhtiari is probably on his way out very soon. This is another team where you could take an offensive tackle and play him for the future. Offensive line was pretty solid this year. And
It was. Zach Tom has really panned out.
yep,
Their interior line could use some pieces, but I think they can get those later in the draft,
I agree.
especially with John Runyon set to hit free agency.
I kind of lean Jordan Morgan here.
I'm more than okay with that pick.
All right, we're going Jordan Morgan. I am also a very big Jordan Morgan guy, and I do think he climbs up draft boards, especially after the combine. He's another guy that I think is going to test very well,
Yep.
and I could see a team taking a chance on him, and especially with Green Bay, I think their offensive line is in a position where they could take a chance on a guy like Jordan Morgan. Tampa Bay here, number 26.
No, this is an interesting position because I could either go one of two ways here. I think corner and edge both needs on the defense. I could corner I'm going to hold off on because the cornerback class is somewhat deep here. I could definitely see Bralen Trice being the pick here. They're not afraid of taking Washington edge rushers. They took Joe Tryon Shoyinka a couple years back. Why not get alum from the same factory or whatever you want to say. But also Mike Evans slated to hit free agency. I mean, Chris Godwin had a bit of a down year.
Yeah,
I think you got to get your Mike Evans replacement here in Keon Coleman.
I totally
I could
agree.
see Mike Evans totally going and getting that bag somewhere or chasing a ring. I don't think that's going to be in Tampa. I think Keon Coleman it pretty much fits that same build as Mike Evans. He's going to stretch the field. He's going to be a big body downfield.
Yeah, I agree. I like that pick. That was probably going to be my pick as well. Arizona Cardinals here. We already took Marvin Harrison Jr. I think you go get a corner now.
Yeah, they're depleted at the cornerback position.
100%. I think Cam Lassiter is probably my pick. Although I do like Kalen King a lot. I like Ennis Rakestraw, and I like Josh Newton.
Rakestraw is somebody that I think he's going to sneak into the first round.
I could see that too.
I think this is another guy that I think it's going to take a couple mock drafts from the professionals. I've already seen, I think Daniel Jeremiah had him going in the first. towards the end.
I love DJ.
But I think Rakestraw will end up being a first round pick after all is said and done.
Let's get weird. We're going Ennis Rakestraw Jr. Brings us to the Bills. I think this is a wide receiver all day long here.
Yeah, and I think Brian Thomas Jr. is more than perfect fit. Stephon Diggs, obviously there's been questions of him leaving. I don't think he goes anywhere. But Brian Thomas Jr., big body, also pretty fast, good hands, great compliment to Diggs.
Yep, that's...
And he's your Gabe Davis replacement.
Yes, 100%. Detroit at 29 could go a bunch of different ways. I like Bralen Trice here. I also would not hate Cam Lassiter.
Yeah, I could see Lassiter, or I could see Trice. This is a team. I think they lean edge. You need somebody to pair with Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah.
He can't do it all his entire career, and I think Trice, he's athletic enough to be a nice compliment.
I totally agree with that.
Now these last 4 picks, I do want to say, we obviously haven't been doing trades this draft. I think these last, I'll say 5 or 6 picks are all candidates to trade down.
100%.
I think you could very well see some teams like Atlanta or Vegas jumping up into the end of the first to take a guy like Bo Nix or JJ McCarthy. It's just, as of right now, the way the board falls, not many of these teams really need quarterbacks. Yeah. And that's why we're having these guys fall to the second.
Yeah, I think mock draft 3, we're going to probably do trades. I think that'll be fun.
Yeah, that's good with me. Now Baltimore says receivers need. You got Zay Flowers. He looked really good. Who else is on the board for receivers? I mean, you have Adonai Mitchell, Troy Franklin, Xavier Worthy.
I like A.D. Mitchell a lot. I think adding a big body receiver alongside of Zay Flowers is a perfect complement in that offense.
Yeah, so I do like that, but it doesn't seem like a Ravens pick to me.
No, it doesn't. Especially back-to-back years.
Yeah, no,
I
think they're the type to add on the defense side of the ball. I mean, they're great in the trenches.
I don't think the Ravens make this pick this year. I think they trade out of the first round.
I agree 100%. Go to the all. Who's at the big board right now? Obviously, we can get rid of those top 2. Scroll down a little bit. Yeah, I could. I mean, their interior D-line, they're pretty stacked on defense too, though.
Yeah, I know. That's why I really don't think they make this pick. I think they trade back and add assets.
If I had to, you know what? I think I will go Mitchell.
Yeah.
He's probably the best fit for them if they take this pick.
I think for KC, this is another team that I don't know if they make this pick. If they do, I could see Troy Franklin going to them, though. Add another
Who's
receiver.
Up there for offensive tackles? Because they had an offensive tackle problem this year. Nobody really worth taking, though, huh?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's it's another team they could probably trade out of the first year and add assets for next year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see them taking a receiver here. I mean, this says safety as a need. I could see one of these safeties. I mean,
Cam Kitchens.
A lot of people are high on Kitchens. I'm a huge Nubin fan. But I'll have Casey selecting Kitchens.
And then San Fran, the last pick of the first round here. Another team, I don't know if they really make a first round pick this year. If they do, I could see corner, and I could see maybe an offensive tackle planning for the future.
Now, Graham Barton, I believe, played a lot of snaps at tackle in college.
Yes, he did.
He's slated to be more of an interior lineman in the pros. But I mean, San Fran just needs offensive line help all over the place.
Yeah.
I could see them going best available offensive lineman, which in my opinion is Graham Barton.
Yeah, I agree.
But totally up to you.
I'm taking it because we're out of time in this Zoom meeting.
Oh, are we?
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I will scroll through the results. These are our results.
Let
us know what you think. I mean, like we said, mock draft 3 will be very interesting because we'll have a lot of trades probably. So stay tuned for that. We just wanted to get another one of these out before we started making some trades. as we're down to the final two for the Super Bowl.
I'm actually really happy with how this draft came out.
So
make sure to drop a like, leave a comment on what you agree with, what you don't agree with, and subscribe if you haven't already.
Yes, sir. Follow us on social medias in the description. We'll see you guys in the next episode. And as always, stay cool.
Stay cool.